Hey everybody, welcome back to Train of Thoughts. My name is Trey, and this is where I share my thoughts on the Winnipeg Jets. So the Jets took on the Anaheim Ducks last night in Anaheim. First game in a kind of California, Vegas road trip. And they fell 7-4. It was kind of a weird game. There was some good things that the Jets did, and there was some not good things by the evidence of giving up 7 goals. So let's break it down. Nikolai Ehlers started the scoring off about a minute into the game, which is wonderful, but it's also kind of like, the Jets scored first. I mean, I don't want to be nuts or anything like that, but when they've scored first, they've had a few of these. I think twice they've given up 7 goals when they've scored first, and they've lost by at least 3 goals in, I think, most, if not all, of those games. And they took a 2-1 lead into the second period. Blake Wheeler got the Jets' second goal right after Anaheim had scored to tie the game, or not long after, where there was a misplay by Gibson, the Ducks goalie, and he was out of position pretty much behind the nets and turned it over. Blake Wheeler was right there to slam it home. So 2-1, and in the second period, which has been a bugaboo a lot of times this year, was the bugaboo again, where the Jets got outscored 4-1 in that period. There was some defensive breakdowns with some breakaways, and there's also some kind of ugly goals where the Ducks got the fortunate bounce. So Nikolai Ehlers got the only goal of the period for the Jets, and at that point he made it 3-2. But that was short-lived. They went into the second intermission down 5-3. They got to 5-4. That there was a 2-on-1, and Brian Little slapped one home, or wristed one home for his second consecutive game with a goal to make it 5-4. And then with about 4 minutes left, after some really nice opportunities for the Jets, Ducks got a breakaway score to make it 6-4. That's was kind of a backbreaker. The Jets still had some good pressure and some good opportunities, but the Ducks scored an empty netter with just 2 or 3 seconds left in the game to make the final score. Sorry again for the glare on my face. I'm not gonna complain about sunshine, but it might look a little funny in the video, but oh well. So talked about Nick Ehlers and the game that he had with a couple of goals. He looked good, and it needed him to step up with the absence of Laine and Adam Lowry tonight, or last night. So he did his parts, and it was nice to see him flying around and making things happen. Kyle Connor had the unluckiest game, and he was kind of the story of the game, or one of the big points of the game is, yes, the Jets lost, and you got to own up to that. I know after the game the Jets were owning up to that, but Kyle Connor had like 9 shots on goal, and he had some glorious opportunities, and he couldn't find the back of the net. So the fact that he had 9 shots on goal and didn't score kind of shows where the breaks were heading. So if he would have got 1 or 2 of those past, different game. And then some of the bounces that the Ducks got were fortunate for them. Another thing that I haven't talked about is when the Ducks took the 5-3 lead, it was a little before the halfway point of the second period, halfway point of the game. Connor Hellebuck got pulled from the game. He had given up 4 goals on 18 shots. Not all of it was on him. I would say that I think it was the 4th goal he'd probably want back. Guy broke in. That was the first breakaway. Slapped it, and it just kind of trickled between his legs. Looked like he stopped it, but it just snuck through and into the net. So he might want that one back, but give the Ducks some credit. I think it was the 3rd goal was a nice tip or nice deflection by Adam Henrique that Hellebuck couldn't do much about. So that was a little bit of a bummer for Hellebuck, but he's been really solid this year, so you can't pin this on him. Brissois looked really good until a little closer to the end when he gave up that 6th goal, but he couldn't really do much about that one. So it was nice to see him come in and keep the guys in the game. Yeah, and then on the Ducks side, speaking of goaltending, John Gibson was spectacular. Besides that misplay that he had on the Blake Wheeler goal, he made some phenomenal saves. I mean, Kyle Connor was probably having nightmares with all the glorious chances that he had. Andrew Kopp had a glorious chance towards the end of the game in the last minutes, where he was kind of on his knees after the play, kind of like, how did that puck not go in? He got robbed by Gibson. So good job by Gibson. I know he's kind of one of the more underrated goalies because the Ducks haven't had a whole lot of success. Some people have put him up there as one of the top goalies, if not the top goalie. It's just he hasn't had the team around him in the last couple of years to really show what he can do. But the defense gave up some of those breakaways, so I know the defense gets maligned. They had played really well the 3 games before that. They'd only given up 4 goals in those 3 games. So, games like this happen. Some pieces were missing. But I think that the style that the Jets play, they want to play with speed, but they need to be controlled with that speed where they're bringing the tempo into their offensive zone and not allowing those breakdowns. So it will be interesting to see how they do on Friday nights against the Kings. That should be a much different game because the Kings are a much different team than the Ducks. The Jets just saw them, I believe it was last week, when they fell in a close game to them. So we'll be looking forward to that. I will have a recap on that either late Friday nights or Saturday morning. But that's what I have for today. Please share your thoughts in the comment section. If you like this video, please hit like. If you really like this video, please hit subscribe. Help me in my drive for 100 subscriptions. And I hope you guys have a great day.